Hey guys, it's SKdaGamer here, back again with another episode of Angels with Scaly Wings. Now, a bit of stuff happened last episode, and so I had my first chat with Adine, my first chat with Bryce outside of Portal Matters as well, and well, now we're on bad standing, so hopefully I can find some way to fix it. And of course I went to check my status with Adine, and it looks like Lorem's possibly dead. Which, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Especially considering I was on bad standings with him as well. But oh well, let's have a look what's going on now in chapter 4. I awoke with my eyes fixed on the ceiling wallpaper. A sense of dread lingered from a nightmare I no longer remembered. How many more times would I see this apartment before I returned to my own world? Or before something happened to me? I got ready for the day, tried to shake off those thoughts. Hey Smams, and right on the minute, you show up at this time every day, like clockwork. Clocks are reliable, and reliable is good in this line of work. I think you could guess why I'm here. Is it Razor again? What happened this time? The chief will explain everything once we get there. He's not on the case! We arrived at a place that would look like an ordinary house had it not been for its extraordinary size. It reminded me more of a hostel than a family home. Chief! There you are. Wait, aren't you supposed to be with Amira? Luckily she doesn't work every day of the week. I see. You're still taking off the case though. Amira... whatever. Anyway, we're nearly done here, so I'll keep it short. Razor broken. This is the Hatchery! Oh no! There's another murder victim. An employee of the Hatchery who was on night duty. Her body was found quite away from here. There's evidence of a struggle, but she covered a lot of distance before it was ultimately over. Light bangs were heard from the area her body was found. She has numerous wounds, consistent with both the wounds of the previous victims and that other weapon he has. By this point, news of another corpse didn't have the same impact anymore. She was just another one of Razor's faceless victims. A hatchery, if that's what this building is. Well, not only. It's a council-owned building, and they like keeping everything related to their sector under the same roof. So besides the hatchery, there's also an orphanage and a family clinic inside. There are offices related to the administration of those services. That reminds me of the production facility. They have a similar management structure. Wait a minute, if an orphanage is in there too, there are no other casualties, but Razor got something else when he broke in. A generator, as well as a few eggs. He took eggs, oh no! Razor, what are you doing? Luckily the power was restored before anything happened to all the other eggs left inside, but needless to say the parents of the stolen eggs are not going to be happy. Why would he steal eggs in the first place? Maybe you can tell us. That's why you're here after all. I don't know, I have no idea what he would even do with them. Maybe he wants to use them as a bargaining chip. After all, he still has to make his escape, and the portal is still broken. Do you think he wants to exchange them for a safe passage through the portal? Maybe. It's still broken though, so I'm not sure if that will be much help. Maybe he has the part needed to repair it, and now has everything he needs to escape. He could trade the eggs for safe passage, fix the portal, and leave. That's not the only possibility. He may not be the one who broke the portal. Maybe he thinks you've intentionally sabotaged it so he can't leave, and he feels he needs the eggs as bargaining chip to get you to repair it. If he just wanted to leave, I feel like he could have done that already. It doesn't even matter who sabotaged the portal. We only know that Razor's actions are becoming more and more desperate. He kidnapped defenseless eggs, and even used the human weapon. Something's clearly going on with him. Maybe it means he'll slip up soon. Who knows, maybe he already has. In any case, we're done here. Let's head back to the department and decide what to do next. Hopefully some of the test results will tell us something. After a brief walk, we were in Bryce's office again. Initial test results had already come in, but didn't reveal any insightful or new information. So what do we do now? Go over the timeline again? Not yet. There are a few things I'd like to take care of first. What do you have in mind? Suddenly there was a knock at the door. Maverick, what are you doing here? Chief, can I talk to you? Alone. We're quite busy here, Maverick. What is this about? Razor. Well, you're looking at the Razor Task Force. So if you have anything to say, you can say it in front of all of us. I think I know where Razor is. You know where Razor is at this very moment? I have a good reason to believe that I have located his hideout. He could still be there, or he might have already moved on. Damn, Maverick, tell me everything. I've been tracking him for a while now. When he was at the portal a few days ago, I nearly got him and managed to follow him for a while before I lost him. How though? You're a big whopping dragon. Based on that, where he's been and where his victims have been found, I could triangulate his whereabouts. He has to live somewhere, right? He needs a base to hide the generators and everything he's stolen. Bryce cleared the clutter on a table and smoothed out a map of the town on its surface. It already had a few locations related to the case marked on it. Show it to me. Prior victims were found here and here. Today's was here. She was following him, likely because she wanted to save the eggs he stole. This is the path he took from the portal when I followed him a few days ago. So we have established this as his area of operation. Extrapolate it, and we can narrow it down to this. Now, where could he be hiding in this area? He's certainly not within the village borders, so unless he's decided to live in the wilderness or a hole in the ground, the only option is here. The abandoned farm. When did you figure all of this out? Just a few minutes ago. When I did, I immediately came here. Damn it, Maverick, this might be it. Should we send an observation team? As if we had one to spare. Heck, we're going there right now. What about you, Maverick? I'm still on sick leave, remember? Besides, if I saw Razor right now, I'd probably do something I shouldn't. How about you, Smems? Isn't this going to be dangerous? Razor probably won't harm you, as you're the only one he could possibly consider an ally. If anything, with you there we might be able to convince him to give up. Or we could act like we intended to trade you for the eggs, if he tries to use them as a bargaining chip. You're not really going to use me as ransom, right? We'll see about that. Suppose if it's necessary, I'll have to play along. I've got your back. If there's one thing we could do to make this whole situation even worse, it would be messing up with you. We have the element of surprise if we walk into his base right now, but we risk Razor lashing out with his weapon. If we want to resolve this peacefully, observation is probably the way to go. I guess we won't need Smams there for that though. True enough. Right, Smams, you stay here and wait for further instructions. We may need you at a moment's notice. Don't do anything without us telling you to. Understand? Okay. Right then, let's go, Sebastian. Shortly after they vanish, Maverick also turned to leave. Then I had to wait. Bryce and Sebastian were observing the farm now. If anything new happened, I would be the first to know. I spent some time looking around Bryce's office, studying all the material he had gathered around the case, although there wasn't any information that I didn't already know. After a few hours, the telephone in his office rang. I'm not sure whether the call was intended for me or Bryce. I picked up. Smams? Yes. I think you need to come here. I'll give you the directions. Hey, this is the same farmhouse that we had that date night with Anna at. So what happened? A whole lot of nothing. There was no movement to or from the building in the time we've been watching. He usually operates during the night, so maybe he's just asleep. In that case, it would be best for us to go in before he has a chance to make his escape. Or maybe he's not even in there anymore. He could have seen us and slipped away unnoticed, with plenty of time to destroy the evidence while we've been waiting here. You're right. Either he's still inside or he's already gone and not coming back. Let's go in. What should I do? You're coming with me. Sebastian, you walk around and watch the back of the building, just in case he tries to escape. I go in, and you stay here, alright? What am I even here for then? You're our insurance. If Razor tries to flee and sees you, it might throw him off. You might be able to stop him. Or if we get into a standoff, I can tell him you're here as well. I just don't want you to come inside when it could become dangerous. Alright. I watched as Bryce made his way to the front door. Looking around, I scanned the windows of the building for any sign of movement. When Bryce reached the door, I wondered how he would make his entry. Would he try to be quiet and sneak around, hoping to find Razor unprepared? Or would he barge in and rely on his strength and speed to apprehend him? Though shortly after Bryce opened the door, an earth-shattering sound echoed across the sky. Bryce! Well, you did. Stop killing everyone! I swear, only the characters, as soon as I hit bad status with them, they're dead the next day. You really need to not screw up with this, because I feel like that's how it's going. Right, I need to stay close to Remy and Nadine and keep my status with them good, because oh my gosh, we're just gonna keep losing more people. Oh man, can't believe he's really gone. I'm sorry, Smams, I just don't know what to say. All the responsibility falls on me now, and Razor is still out there somewhere. This case is just beyond our capabilities. We were already at a bare minimum before this, but with Bryce gone, I just don't know what we should do now. I've already requested help from one of the cities. I hope they'll send some good investigators our way as soon as possible. At least we reclaimed everything that was stolen. Well, except for oh no. I don't want to have to explain to the parents how their children were killed in the explosion. All of the generators were just sitting inside there. Makes me think that Razor must have left in a hurry. And we got so close too. It was his hideout, for crying out loud. He probably just saw us approaching and left before we even had the chance to apprehend him. But you know what? We can't stop now. If anything, this has only proven that he's even more dangerous than we thought. If Razor can make bombs out of generators, who's to say where he'll use them next? We have to stop him, Smams. Are you with me? Yes. Regardless of Bryce's death, we have to try our best to proceed with the investigation, for his memory, and the sake of the town. At least Razor doesn't have any generators, for now. All the stolen ones were accounted for inside the building. Right, let me see what else we have. When we searched the building, we found more than the things Razor stole. We also found this bloody bandage. Do you think that's his? That's what we need to find out. But given all that we know, it probably is. So he's wounded. We know he was injured during the fight with his first victim. But whether this is from the same wound or something else, I'm not sure. In any case, you could bring it into the lab for us to find out more. Next, we have a witness who reported hearing loud bangs during the night. We'd like to send someone to make a follow-up visit. You'll need to confirm the witness statement and see if he has anything new to share. Also, now that we have reclaimed your PDAs, we are going to send one to the archives for analysis. Since they have experience with human artifacts, they're better suited to it than any of our departments. In any case, I'll just leave everything here until I get to it, so feel free to do these tasks as you wish. I know it's laughable that we don't even have a free hand for simple errands. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I should get back to the investigation now. I'll leave the stuff for you here and I'll take care of the rest once I get back. Alright? Sure thing. See, I feel like you can only do 2 or 1 of these. I can't do all of these. I know that for a fact because I have never been able to do every option. Do I take the bandage to the facility or visit the witness? Because I want to hear more about this victim. But I also want to see if this actually is Razor's bandage. Let's take the bandage to the facility. Razor's the bigger problem at hand, considering the fact that he's evaded literally every attempt of trying to find him. Can I help you? Yeah, I'm just dropping this evidence off on behalf of the police. From the Razor case, right? I already read the memo. Yep, well here you go. Thanks, I'll get right to it. Oh, okay, so I can do more. Alright, well let's visit the witness then. Can I help you? You must be Lorem Ipsum. Well, that's an interesting way to name 2 characters, Lorem and Ipsum. I'm working with the police and hoped you could answer a few questions. Oh, do you have any news about my roommate? This is about the noises you heard last night. What is going on with your roommate? He went missing a few days ago. I already talked to someone from the police about this, but I haven't heard back from them since. I'm sorry. This is the first I've heard about this. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't go on vacation, nor did he suddenly decide to visit the next town. I'd know if he did, he would have told me. Honestly, I find it odd that when someone goes missing, I don't hear back for several days. But when I hear loud banging noise during the night, the police send someone over immediately. I'm sorry, but I don't think I want to talk about this right now. Thanks for all your help. Now that the facility has received the bandage, maybe we'll discover something new. I'll take care of the remaining tasks, so you can take the rest of the day off. I'm sure we'll have things other to do than helping the police department. It's no problem really. My trip to your world wasn't supposed to be a vacation. Alright then, I'll see you next time. And we need to keep these relationships with Remy and Adine together, because I feel like these deaths have only been people that I've had a bad status with. After this fateful day, I was glad to finally have some sort of respite. I wandered into the kitchen as I considered tonight's dinner. When I returned to the living room, I suddenly found my strength leaving me and collapsed to the floor. Dang it! Dang it! Don't kill one of my good stuff. The next thing I saw was a blurry stone ceiling. Is this the Razor. Razor! Get some inside information, then run back to Sebastian. As my eyesight slowly returned, I managed to sit up. I was in a cave, and before me stood a familiar, mysterious face. Oh, okay. I apologize for the violence, but I can assure you it was the easiest way. Where am I? Is this your hideout? Just a temporary accommodation, so it can be undisturbed for this meeting. Someone else used to live here until recently. Do you know who I am? Well, you're not Razor. Good. What did it take for you to figure that out? Since you're not whispering anymore, I can hear it clearly in your voice. I had a feeling that you couldn't be him since the first time we met, though. I unintentionally put on a different voice than I did for Razor. I don't even remember what voice I did for Razor though. I think it was my normal voice, but whatever. Which first time are you talking about? It generated in the cellar, when you pushed me. I see. You can call me the administrator. No other humans are supposed to be here though. I assume that's why you're wearing the mask. You don't want to be recognized. That is correct. Whoever you are, you also saved my life. On more than one occasion. Your presence here doesn't make any sense. You couldn't have come through the portal, the dragons would have noticed. This is where you were wrong. My arrival through the portal is what led the dragons to discover it in the first place. Is that so? When I crawled out from the hole in the earth that hid the portal, there were no guards to discover me. My appearance exposed the portal, but the dragons didn't know it was there yet. So you arrived even before Razor. That makes you the actual first human to come to this world. That is more true than you might think. Just who are you then? I may have arrived through the portal like you, but my story is very different. Before the fall of humanity, I was an engineer. I was part of a team that was formed to create bioweapons. Our task was to create these bioweapons in a country where the development hadn't yet been regulated or outlawed. These weapons were planned to be a low-cost alternative for poor countries to wage war, so they could no longer have to rely on expensive drones and machines for warfare. I was to set up the lab where our bioweapon development would take place. It was a clandestine operation, set to be in the middle of the wilderness. The laboratory was an independent research and living unit, and provided everything we needed without having to rely on external resources or even an existing power grid. Everything was to be teleported right into the middle of nowhere with no traces or paper trail to follow, so international communities and law enforcement would have no idea of our operations. Our only connection to the outside world after setup would have been a two-way portal to our headquarters, who would provide everything we needed. While we already could teleport individual people, teleporting a whole building was another matter entirely. Our solution was matter compression technology. Incredibly expensive, but operating in the grey market was also very lucrative. The technology behind it was much more complicated than even teleportation, despite being based on it. While teleportation works by utilizing black holes with a beginning and an end, compression technology relies on a loop, keeping matter in a sort of limbo state until the loop is broken. Working with black holes was very complicated to begin with, but the shape required much more finesse and was much more expensive. I was to be sent alone to set up the lab in the portal, so the rest of the team could arrive safely. In case you didn't know, it is possible to use a portal to send someone to a previously defined endpoint. Therefore, it was not required to have a portal at the destination to be sent there. But as you can imagine, this is also very dangerous. A single variable, off by a fraction, could mean the difference between landing safely at your destination and smothering in space. Of course, my employer did not want anything like that to happen. Not necessarily for my own sake, but because of all the unfathomably expensive equipment I had with me. Regardless, something went wrong anyway. Despite all their checks and safeguards, they could only minimize the risk so much. Even if the risk is a fraction of a fraction, sometimes we're just that unlucky. And sometimes it turns out that your bad luck is a blessing in disguise. I arrived safely somewhere in the jungles of Earth, yet it was not the destination that had been planned. I knew something was off, but nevertheless I set to work immediately. At the very least, I could prepare the building. I would have shelter, and then I could begin preparations for our project. Getting the portal into working order would take more time, as it was a complicated process that could take several weeks. If things had gone wrong as I suspected, I would at least be able to establish contact with headquarters after the portal had been set up, and I would be able to return. While teleporting the lab to the wrong location was certainly a costly mistake, I was still lucky to have my life. Before long, I discovered the truth about the place I had arrived. While I was still on Earth, it was not the Earth I knew. It was the Earth of 65 million years ago. We knew that utilizing black holes for teleportation, time travel was a theoretical possibility. It was something even my company didn't dare to attempt though, as teleportation in itself was a very new technology. Yet here I was, 65 million years in the past, with a research station all to myself. The company would revel in the opportunity to study and profit from all the different life forms I could see. If only they knew about them. I spent the next few weeks setting up the portal as planned, yet when I tried to re-establish contact with my employer, I was met with silence. Despite the time discrepancy, the portal should have been able to find my companies in the present. For a black hole, sending something through time is no different than sending something through space. However, when we built the portals, we gave them a specialized configuration. It was only possible to travel through space by aligning them across the time axis. That meant that I, in the past, would still be able to search for portals in the present to connect with. My counterparts in the present, though, would not be able to find me in the past, even if they tried. But I couldn't find them. Not a single one. Even after checking the portal for its function, I determined that, for all intents and purposes, the portals from the company should have been there to connect with. It was then that I had a terrible realization. The portals in the present didn't exist anymore, or were no longer operational. Maybe the blunder of teleporting the lab caused them to reconsider the risks of using this technology. After all, it was already controversial and had been outlawed in several countries. I wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to cut their losses, but it was highly unlikely that they would have immediately shut down every single portal and left me stranded without notice. Portal technology was still being relied on in several places in the present. In my mind, only one possibility remained: superweapons. Various nations have been using them as bargaining chips for some time. I didn't think the threats had become that serious, but one of them must have launched their weapon and destroyed the majority of Earth. The solar flare probably, because that was a thing that happened that basically ruined everything. Could have been the result of a malfunction, or perhaps the political situation had escalated. Either way, it was not possible for me to establish any means of communication to find out what had really happened. I could have sent myself back into the present with the right coordinates, but this was a risky endeavor, and also had to ask myself if it was a present I wanted to return to. I was sure that if anything was even left of our world, the aftermath, or a possible retaliatory strike, would take care of the rest. In the end, I had to realize that whichever present did exist was likely not one that was worth returning to. It made my decision all the easier. Instead of returning to a destroyed civilization, I saw an opportunity. Rather than creating bioweapons, I could use the lab to create a new civilization, shaped by my own ideals. I had all the necessary data, and the most modern methods and machines at my fingertips. Besides, most of the processes had already been automated. In the end, I still used the lab for what it had been created for, fusing human and animal DNA to create beings that were mostly animal, but possessed a greater intelligence that allowed them to learn whatever we wanted them to. As I didn't have any animal samples set with me when I initially arrived, I collected them from the sources available to me. Automated processes mixed the DNA further across the samples. New abilities were enhanced, like enhanced armor, flight, and spit weapons, to make the new creatures more effective in combat. The result was a number of different species, each tailored and optimized to fill a specific role in a war situation. Hormones allowed me to speed up their growth. With the lab's learning program, they could be educated in whatever manner I saw fit. My first concern was self-sufficiency. They needed the kind of knowledge that would enable them to come together as their own, independent society. Luckily, the AI that automated all the processes in the lab was more than helpful. I unleashed the first generation of my creation, and as their leader, founded our first village. I thought we could really pull it off. And once I saw that they could survive without my guidance, and also govern myself, I knew my plan was a success. Is this the human in dragon mythology? Did he do this and then move into the future? Is that what happened? When I realized that this new society would eventually be destroyed, I told myself that I would do everything I could to save it. Destroyed? What are you talking about? Haven't you realized where we are? The Chicxulub asteroid is headed for us, with a diameter of over 10 kilometers. Its impact will create humongous clouds of dust, throwing Earth into a literal dark age. They will block out the sunlight for over a year, killing off many species of plants that rely on photosynthesis to survive. As a result, animals that eat those plants will also vanish, as will those who sought sustenance from these herbivores. Is this what Razor was talking about? All in all, 75% of all species will vanish. And in terrestrial ecosystems, all animals heavier than a single kilogram will die. It will be the end of everyone who lives here, every single dragon you have seen, unless we do something. We? What am I supposed to do? Do you not wish to save them? I came here to help humanity. Now you tell me that this society, this whole world, is also on the brink of extinction. That is the truth. What kind of difference could a single person like me even make to save it? Right now, it's also a single person that presents its greatest threat. Razor? How? In order to stop the comet, we will need as much power as possible. We reclaimed all the generators he stole. Besides, how could a few of them be enough to make a difference for something like this? Don't forget that Razor is still out there, looking for more. The truth is, I don't know if all the generators we could gather would ever be enough. So, is Razor stealing the generators to stop this comet? What is Razor's motive? Because he was talking about danger and something that was wrong. So he knows about this. We only require enough power to divert the comet's path during a crucial moment. But even if this plan is possible, we will need every single generator we can get. So my goal hasn't changed. I just need to find Razor. Yes, but you'll need my help, and maybe the help of others. You know that Razor is dangerous, and with his gun he has a clear advantage. Don't think that he wouldn't hesitate to kill you if you're in his way. Then what shall we do? Do you know where he is? No, but I think you'll find him soon. You can count on my support when that happens. There is one thing that still doesn't make sense to me though. The dragons have myths about you, but they don't know or remember you. They haven't seen humans for who knows how long. How much time could have passed since you created them, and how? How many generations could it take to forget? Why isn't that proof of your existence? I don't know exactly how long it's been myself. When I realized what time period I was in and that my creation was about to be wiped out in the future, I wanted to go to that future and see what they had become. I disabled the portal's time access safeguards and thus enabled it to connect with others in different times. This also included that very same portal in the future. With the generator of our lab being able to supply the portal with power for an indefinite amount of time, I was able to travel to any point in the future I wanted to. The entry and end point of the black hole would be the same place, and the same portal, with the way traveled just being along the time axis. Since I could now search for connection points in any time period, I could look for my own portal in the future and pinpoint the moment its signal stopped. The comet. I found that specific point in time and travelled to a future that was as close to that event as I could safely manage. After I arrived here, my escape from the portal's hiding place led to its discovery by the dragons. It and the laboratory were unearthed. So the building underneath the portal is the laboratory, is his lab. Wow, okay, this is coming together nicely. I still don't understand how our portal found yours, or why we ended up arriving at this particular time period. The portal you found was no doubt one of my company's. They must have been connected before, so the corresponding data for their connection already existed when you found it. I'm not sure if that could bypass the anti-time travel safeguards though. Was it completely operational when you found it? No, but it took a little bit of tinkering. Probably jumping the hardware safeguard in the process. Now, consider that connected portals travel along the time axis together. The data for their beginning and end points are adjusted automatically. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to transport anything from one place in the world to another without also sending it through time. Since these two portals must have been connected at some point, the corresponding data for the connection between those two portals already existed. When using the same connection without changing any of the data, this would mean that despite the time discrepancy between those two portals, time still progressed linearly for them. I'm not sure I understand. Let me try to rephrase that. The portal you found and my own share a connection. However, while the connection is locked to a certain place, which is wherever the portal is at that very moment, it is not connected to a specific point in time. For us and the physical machines that are the portals, time passes linearly, and we can't do anything about that. However, for the black holes, this isn't the case. Just as their entry and endpoints can be in different places, they can also be in different times. In order to not send something through time when we just want to transport something from one portal to another, the portals are anchored together in such a way that the time data is automatically synchronized. Essentially, this means that ever since you arrived in this world, the same amount of time that has passed for you has also passed in the place where you came from. I see. So despite being in different time periods, time still passes linearly on both sides of the portals. Otherwise, it would not have been possible for you to send messages back and forth to each other. If they were not synchronized, the portals on both sides would stay connected, not only to a single point in space, but also to a single point in time, thus making proper two-way communication impossible. However, this is only possible through the connection that has already been forged. If we wanted to, we could use our portal to send you back to your own time period, but to a moment before Razor even arrived here. But that would mean there would be two of me, right? Wouldn't that cause a time paradox? I can only tell you that it would work. No one has studied time travel before though, so if there are any consequences, then I am not sure of them. Most likely an entirely new timeline would be created. There would be a timeline without a Smams altogether, and in the new one, there would be two of you. This is becoming way too complicated. I apologize. To come back to your original question, I am not sure how much time has passed between the time I left my newborn society and now. Since the portal was not designed for time travel, I have no way of knowing how the variables translated to our perception of time. It could have been thousands, or even millions of years. How could the portal, or even its power source, still be operational after all this time? The portal receives its power from the generator in the lab. These units were fitted with the absolute best technology we had to offer. It was designed to provide sustainable power completely independently from any already existing network or power lines. It gains energy from any sources, sun rays, Earth's heat and movement, just to name a few. Keep in mind it had to power a whole laboratory and research station, while also providing the energy required for all its inhabitants and the associated energy expenditures. Taking its power from Earth itself, a generator like this could continue providing power to the lab indefinitely. Speaking of which, why haven't I seen a single dinosaur since I arrived? It seems that the dragon society expanded over the whole continent. Many still hunt on their own for sustenance, and as such the original species they were based on have mostly vanished. As in direct competition, ours proved to be far superior. Also, they have probably taken measures against having big predators roam their cities and villages. Yet while the dragon population has increased tremendously, I found that, by and large, their society as a whole has not changed much. Is that why everything here looks like it was made for humans? I suppose so. The learning program I initially used gave them knowledge about things and how to create them. Of course, those were only human inventions and designs. Did they never once stop to think that they should just adjust how certain things look? A lot of the furniture and objects I've seen look very impractical for a dragon. I picked up on that too. I was surprised at that too, but I have an explanation for this phenomenon. Don't forget that their genome was designed by an AI program to make them into effective bioweapons. The idea was to have them indoctrinated at a young age. After reaching adolescence, their learning capacity would be greatly diminished. This resulted in subjects that would stay loyal and be unlikely to change their desired behaviors. Instincts also play a role. I imagine that they are very much at odds with their learned behavior. Instincts in animals never change, and instinctual behaviors will always be there. If a given trait has been programmed into a genome as an instinct, it is not very likely to change, even through the numerous generations. We can see the result of this here. While I initially made them learn a certain set of values and knowledge, I found that the expression of those ideas has hardly changed. And after I was gone, each new generation learned from its elders. Much of the initial knowledge and information was retained through all this time. The genome as a whole did change, however, which was unavoidable over time. If they had been used as bioweapons as intended, there would have been nothing more than an army of identical clones. While I can see subtle changes in behaviors as a result, some traits are still very much present in them. They are content with what they have and don't strive for more. They don't innovate or change, so technological breakthroughs or new inventions are a rarity. It's quite the opposite, really. They very much value tradition and their ways which have not changed much in all these years. How much time do we have left to stop the comet? In a few weeks the comet will pass the moon, and its gravity field will point the comet's trajectory towards Earth. This is when we'll need to be ready. If we strike then, we only need to minimally affect its path in order for the comet to pass Earth safely. It won't be enough time for the inhabitants of this world to prepare if Razor steals their greatest assets. So it's all about Razor and the generators, isn't it? Indeed. By the way, I fixed the portal in case we need to use it. Did you break it to prevent me from being sent away? No, that wasn't me. Razor better not use it to escape. Trust me, the portal is our greatest asset. I've programmed it with emergency coordinates. If you should find yourself in a hopeless situation and feel there is no other way out, go to the portal. I've made sure only you will be able to use them. Keep that in mind. So what's your plan? What do we do now? I'll resume my work and you will continue yours. Find Razor. The administrator turned to leave. Wait, what's with all the secrecy? Why are you still wearing that mask? Why don't we pool our resources together and you show me your hideout? Don't you think it would be better if you were completely frank with me? No, not now. A second later, the figure had already vanished into the darkness outside. When I followed, I realized that I wasn't sure how to get back to my apartment. Surrounded by the trees and the blanket of night, it was hard to make out where I stood. After wandering through the underbush, I realized the lights on the horizon had to be coming from the village and had made my way back. I returned to my apartment without much trouble. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to see how much time had passed. Not having anything left to do for the day, I soon fell into a deep slumber. Okay. That was a lot. I think I'm going to leave it there for this episode. It's all starting to come together now. I'm really enjoying this. This is fun. I like the story a lot. I like the characters. I find it especially interesting the whole backstory of all the different characters, the backstory of the human society and how the portals came to be in the first place, and the fact that the administrator was the one that started the draconic civilization. I'm still really sad that all the characters that I ended up getting bad relationships with all died like the next day. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't done so. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!